Hello again, it's Father Tom in my office, and I know you had a video from Father Nikolai last week. We kind of wanted to share that. There's a lot coming up this week now, Holy Week and the Triduum, as it's called, the 3 days, and I want to share a lot of information, but up front here, really just some joy. What a day we had on Sunday. Just so amazing and one of a kind. I've never had anything like that before. We had the Mass recorded that people could see it, and people began showing up in the driveway. We had 11:15 to 12, and by 10 after 11, cars started showing up off of Parker Road, and it never stopped until right at noon, which meant that there was probably about 100 cars, because it was much less than a minute for every car. But what a bunch of joy, fun. People were relieved. I was relieved. Affirmation, appreciation of Father John and I, and the deacons too. For me, I just want to share that was really healing, and it came as a part of what I needed. Because, you know, the first 3 weeks of all of this shutdown and experiencing the loss of masses and how the community has to refine a way together, I was in the mode of leading. That's what I am, a leader of the community here. And I was managing and trying to come up with the best decisions, trying to come up with a lot of things, as you know, to make sure we were going to be safe, even though some people weren't all that concerned about that. And I had to pay attention to all those leadership things for about 3 weeks. I wasn't really aware of what was going on within me much at that time, because I wanted to keep leading and keep making sure we were going in the right direction. But finally, last week, the end of the week, I felt like I guess we were in enough of a place with that and had enough things established that I began to feel my own insides on this. I began to get in touch with my sadness, my loss, the fact that the whole thing shakes me personally, as well as registering and recognizing that in the community. So I kind of went with that through the weekend to make sure that I felt the impact on me. And then came the drive time on Sunday, the drive-through. That's why it just hit me as a really joyful uplift. It was the thing that was sent to me in part for God to help with healing in this. And it was such a wonderful event and couldn't have happened any other way. I found myself thinking, gee, I wonder if this marvelous event makes all the rest of the disease and the shutdown worth it so that we could have this. I don't think I'm there at that point with that. But I do know that God said in Romans that God makes all things work to the good of those who believe. So although it's not worth it to have all of the disease and the spreading and pandemic, to have a unique, joyful Palm Sunday, that Palm Sunday was something that God brought about. Used the bad and dark and loss-oriented situation that we might have a time of joy for us. And we did have a wonderful time of joy. So we got signs, we still have some of them, and kids made things, adults made things, people were sticking signs up out of the moon roofs. We have photos of some of the signs, and it's all very important. The deacons were helping. Father John and I gave out palms. The deacons were helping with the collection and taking rice bowls and things like that. And they were very struck too by it. So thank you for that. Let me say a few words about the collection these days. Just so you're aware, you know, our payroll and expenses are virtually the same, exactly the same. There's nobody who's not getting paid. You know, we have a kind of a skeleton staff now. Gina, sister. We have Mary Ellen, Sandra, Wilma, Peggy, Joe Hipskin. We don't pay our school teachers directly, but we do pay that $100,000 still toward our school. There's no expenses we have on our people or on our school that are any less right now. They continue to go on. Every church I know and every pastor has been concerned about how they're going to cover their expenses when the offertory would go down naturally, because we're not at the same place to be able to just bring it so easily. Here's what's happened with our offertory. Out of a typical maybe $9,000 or $10,000 offertory week, the first week that everything was shut down, people dropped some by and there was some online giving, and we had $3,000 of an offertory. Last week, the second week of the shutdown, people dropped some things by and online, a little more. We had over $5,000, $5,500. So that begins to help us to deal with the regular expenses we have. This week with the Palm Sunday drive-through, but just other people putting their Easter things in ahead or past weeks. We have a $12,000 collection. That's not only for this week, I know, but for at least a week or so on either side. So we are improving in our offertory. I just have to make you aware of that we have those expenses. By the way, in order to start live streaming, which I'll talk about in a moment, I had to take on another expense, $120 a month. We had to have Spectrum and Charter come out to set up the church to live stream, not just record and post it later. So I had to take on an additional expense at this time, $120. So bless you, do what you can. Some bring their envelopes by the office here. You can drop it in when you come for one of the hours we have a prayer. Excuse me. You can go online to the website and click and make your offertory payment there. So one more word then about coming by the office. We appreciate it. We love seeing you. Kind of be careful when you come in. Maybe keep it kind of brief, because we all know about the health situation right now when we're in a closer space, that the breath kind of tends to kind of gather up in there, and that's where some of the risk is involved. You can wear a mask if you want to, but we're thrilled to see you. If there's a longer story to tell or whatever, probably you should just tell us that on the phone and keep our visits live, kind of brief for the health of the office. So I want to go now into the Triduum itself. That means 3 days, as you may know, the marvelous days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. First of all, today's Tuesday, Holy Tuesday, and the open hours for prayer are the same as they've been, Tuesday and Wednesday. It'll be today, Tuesday and Wednesday, from 9 to 10 in the morning, from 5 to 6 in the evening. Right? That's the way it's been. Thursday, we're adding an extra morning hour, 9 to 11, Holy Thursday morning. That is because starting in the evening, there won't be the open times for prayer in church. Now, starting in the evening, on Holy Thursday, we'll have the live stream Mass of the Last Supper. The Archbishop has instructed that we are not to build what's called the altar of repose with the candles in a separate tabernacle that we would normally come and worship after the Mass on Holy Thursday. The Archbishop has said that we are not to hold that this year, because quite obviously a number of people come, again, into a fairly small space, and we can't guarantee the safety of everybody there. So we will not have open adoration time after Holy Thursday. Now, you may hear of one of our parishes nearby doing that. Those kind of things have been happening. All I can tell you is if they do that, they're directly disobeying the Archbishop, and they're putting their people into an unsafe space. I would not recommend you go to another church for adoration on Holy Thursday. You'll be able to, by the extension of the live streaming, see the things at night, and the next week we'll begin our open prayer hours again. So that's for Holy Thursday. Now, Friday and Saturday, there's never any adoration hours in church. We may have had some things before, adoration chapel or whatever. The ancient tradition of the church is that there is no adoration of Jesus in the Eucharist on Friday and Saturday. That's not new for this year. That's from the very beginning. That's so that we experience the death of the earthly Jesus. Jesus has died on the cross on Good Friday and the next day. We don't come together or spend individual time to adore the Eucharist. We experience the absence. The tabernacle is open and empty. So there is no church time, as always, on Friday or Saturday, the adoration. Now, let me back up then to the live stream times. I'm really joyful about this. We kind of worked into this. We before videoed a Mass and then posted it later. Now, you'll get the same kind of a link. Kara will see to all that, Kara Cohen. You'll get the kind of a link earlier. They'll be ready. We're going to start by 8 o'clock. That's so that it gives us enough time to make sure that we have the technology in place. 8 o'clock Thursday, Friday for the veneration of the Lord, the cross, and Saturday, the Easter Vigil. They'll all start at 8 o'clock. Okay? They're all an hour or less without the congregation, unfortunately. Even Saturday, while it typically might be longer, it's not going to be appreciably longer, maybe a little after 8 o'clock on Easter Saturday, Holy Saturday night. So, again, you'll get the link and join us live on that. We've had more people signing on to Flocknote through this. We're glad about that. So, a little liturgical pastoral note. Isn't it odd that our Surgeon General, along with the President, has named these 2 weeks a time of national suffering? Well, the country's getting to where we are every year. Isn't it odd that it coincides with Good Friday, with Easter? Even Easter week has suffering in it. The apostles were confused and afraid much of the time. So while they declare times of national suffering, because in some parts of the country, not us yet, they're going to be having their peak of the infection and perhaps deaths. We won't be getting there yet for a couple of more weeks, I think. But nationally, it's a time of suffering, and well, good for them. They're joining with what we'll be doing. We'll be joining with Jesus in his suffering. Like every year, I say there's no other way to join with the suffering and death of Jesus than in these services. We may have movies we want to watch or devotions, and those are all fine. When it comes to that evening time, there's no way to join with Jesus better. And ours are going to be, I think, as good as other places in the cathedral or whatever, in their prayerfulness and the preaching that we'll do. So join with us. Remember, whether it's the national time of grieving or our liturgical grieving in Holy Week, remember that, as I said in the Palm Sunday Mass, God gives us strength in suffering. God grieves with us and suffers with us. And God is faithful, as in the resurrection. So after the Triduum services at night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're going to have a joyful Easter Sunday morning Mass at 10 o'clock. That'll be live streamed also. I'll be doing those other services with Father Nikolai. Father Nikolai should be the celebrant on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock Mass. And right after that, we're going to say 11:15 again. So you have time. And we're not going to do this drive-through every week, but it was such an uplift on Sunday, and it's Easter Sunday, and I'd like to see you, and you may be wanting to see us again, like you were so kind to say. So we're going to have a drive-through again from 11:15 to 12 noon at the same place we were, right between the rectory and the church. Hey, it's Easter. Wear your Sunday best. If you got an Easter hat, wear it. You know, I'm sure the ladies will look wonderful. The guys, well, we'll do the best we can. Not going to look as good as they'll look. But make it a Sunday Easter best time. If you don't have any other thing to go out for, you have this to get dressed for Easter and come out and see us and a greeting. Priests are not going to be giving anything out, and please don't give us any candy or food. We really can't take it. We thought about Easter eggs. There's no real safe way to do that, but we're going to be so happy to see you. And the deacons at the other end are going to be, again, collecting any offertory envelopes. You know, these white Easter books that people like so much. We're going to be giving out the Easter books and the bulletin, and the deacons were thrilled to see you last time. So we'll be happy to see you if you can do that. If not, view the Mass, and there's a space in there to give us a little comment after the Mass. It'd be nice to know how you enjoyed the Mass. This is it. This is the culmination of the whole year. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then we'll have Pentecost, of course. But we look forward to doing these services with you, in spirit, and for you, and for us to do the most devout, and as we get to Saturday night and Sunday, the most joyful way that we can. We miss you being here. It was so good to see so many of you Sunday. We love you and thinking of you, and you'll see how much you're in our hearts as we do these services for you to see. Thank you.